Welcome back to my channel. I'm Moriarty, and today I have a book haul for you. I got some new shelves and immediately I filled them. I bought 4 corner shelves, so they kind of look like this, and I have like little figurines on the corner ends, but the rest completely stacked with books. So I went to Half Price Books and Barnes & Noble this past Saturday. And then on Sunday, I wound up going to a bookstore called Friends of the Public Library. And that's where they put books that they're no longer going to keep in circulation for sale. And then that goes to support the library, which we love a good library. So we thought we would support. So let's get to it because we have quite a stack. Also, don't mind my outfit or my makeup. I just came back from the Black Panther 2 trailer. Forever. 5 stars. Bloody fucking amazing. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but like, probably the best Marvel movie. You can find me in the comments. Okay, so the first book I want to talk about is called The Verifiers by Jane Peck. And the back says, Claudia Lynn is used to disregarding her fractious family's moral minority expectations. She has no interest in finding either a conventional career or a nice Chinese boy. She's also used to keeping things from them, such as that she prefers girls. LGBTQ, sapphic romance, whoop whoop. And that she has just been recruited by Veracity, an online dating detective agency in New York City with its own secrets. A lifelong mystery reader who wrote her senior thesis on Jane Austen, Claudia can't imagine a job more fun, or to her family less suitable. But when a client goes missing, Claudia starts digging deeper than she's supposed to, right into a maelstrom of intrigue and deceit. Part literary mystery, part immigrant family story, The Verifiers is a witty and incisive examination of how technology shapes our choices and of the nature of romantic love in the digital age. I'm so excited to check this out. This weighs in 354 pages. The next book I want to talk about is The Girl is Murder by Catherine Miller Haynes. And the front cover says, she never lied until now. The back says, how could he know who I was when he hadn't known who I'd been? It's the fall of 1942 in New York City, and Iris is dying to help out at her father's detective agency, especially when she discovers that one of Pop's cases involves a boy at her new public school. But when Pop adamantly refuses her help, Iris quickly realizes that it's much easier to lie than to ask permission. Suddenly, this once-obedient former private school girl is sneaking out of the house, double-crossing her friends, and dancing at the Savoy till the early morning hours. There's certainly never a dull moment in the private eye business. And this is at 342 pages. The next book I have is How We Fall Apart by Katie Zhao. Its front says, study hard, betray harder. Lesson number 1. Sinclair Prep students, betrayal will haunt you from the grave. Jamie Ruin is the queen bee of Sinclair Prep until one day she's dead. Her former closest friends have no idea what happened to her, or do they? An anonymous poster calling themselves the Proctor points a finger. Jamie has 4 former friends. Each friend has a secret. One day Jamie goes missing. Which friend is guilty and deserves punishment? Akhil Patel is Sinclair Prep's track store, but can he outrun his secret to the one who's out to get him? Then there's Crystal Choi. She has a killer sense of fashion, but that's not the only deadly thing about her. It seems like Alexander Lin is always focused on grades and maybe a certain girl, and he's also hiding a dark secret. Last but not least, there's Nancy Liu. There's nothing threatening about this scholarship student, unless you get in the way of her and the top spot. Did one of them kill Jamie? Who is the Proctor? And what will they reveal next? This book weighs in at 298 pages. The next book I picked up is They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. So I read They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman, and while I did enjoy the mystery, the I was just a little bit too out of the age range to have a suspicion of like belief when they're talking about how bad the like peer pressure was for the students. Like, they did some things that I would never in a million years do. Fuck peer pressure. Like, I've never been one for peer pressure, but I couldn't see it being an actual excuse for what they were doing to each other, and that really decreased the amount of stars I gave that book. So I'm really hoping I don't run into that in this one. So They'll Never Catch Us is about the Steckler sisters. They're only a year apart, but they're different as sisters can be. Single-minded, driven Stella keeps to herself. Ellie is no less ambitious, but she has fun with friends and a social life too. The only thing the sisters have in common is cross-country running, until Mila Keene comes to town. Mila was the top runner on her team back home, and at first Stella and Ellie see her as a threat. But soon, Stella finds herself noticing all the things they have in common. Mila is strong and smart, somebody Stella can finally connect with. As the two become friends, Stella becomes something she vowed she'd never be: distracted. For her part, Ellie finds herself drawn to Mila's warm, charming personality. And in a moment of weakness, Ellie even shares her darkest secret with Mila. With regionals approaching and college scouts taking notice, the pressure is on, and the girls vow they won't let anything get in the way of their futures. But everything changes when Mila goes out on a training run and never returns. No one knows what happened, but all eyes are on the Steckler sisters. This novel comes in at 330 pages. Next book I want to talk about is We Made It All Up by Margot Harrison. This one says, Celeste is the talk of the town when she moves to Montana from Montreal, but the only friend she makes is Vivi, the heir to the town's founder and a social pariah. Inspired by a passion-fueled school accident, they begin writing a love story fanfic between the popular guy and the stoner, one that gradually reveals Celeste's past. While her bond with Vivi makes Celeste feel safe and alive again, Vivi keeps prodding Celeste to turn fantasy into reality. When they finally try, one drunken night on a dark mountainside, Celeste is the one who kisses Golden Boy Joss, and Joss ends up dead. Celeste doesn't remember the end of that night and can't be sure she didn't deliver the killing blow. Could she still be scared of getting close to a boy? Secrets are hard to keep in a small town, and even Vivi seems to suspect her. Explore the winding passages of the cave where Joss died. Celeste learns he had his own dark secrets, as does Vivi. The town isn't as innocent as it appears. And this book is a touch thick. It comes in 170 pages. What I want to talk about is Lavender House by Lev A.C. Rosen. And this one is LGBTQ rep. And it says, when your existence is a crime, everything you do is criminal. Lavender House, 1952. The family seat of recently deceased matriarch Irene LeMontagne, head of the famous LeMontagne soap empire. This estate offers a unique freedom where none of the residents or staff hide who they are, but to keep their secret, they've needed to keep others out, and now they're worried they're keeping a murderer in. Irene's widow hires Evander Mills to uncover the truth behind her mysterious death. Andy, recently fired from the San Francisco police after being caught in a raid on a gay bar, is happy to accept. His calendar is wide open, and his secret is the kind of secret the LeMontagnes understand. Andy has never imagined a world like Lavender House. He's seduced by the safety and freedom found behind its gates, where a queer family lives honestly and openly. But that honesty doesn't extend to everything, and he quickly finds himself a pawn in a family game of old money, subterfuge, and jealousy. And Irene's death is only the beginning. The gates of Lavender House can't lock out the real world forever, and running a soap empire can be a dangerous, dirty business. This one ends at 269 pages. And look at this cover, y'all. And then look at the inside of this book. It's so fucking pretty. Oh my god. And the book is purple without the cover. Okay. Next book on our list, because we got a few. Next book on our list is Not If I Save You First. The front cover says, find the boy, save the boy, kiss, kill, make the boy pay for what he did to you. This book is by Allie Carter, and the inside said, Maddie thought she and Logan would be friends forever, but when your dad is a Secret Service agent and your best friend is the president's son, sometimes life has other plans. Before she knows it, Maddie's dad is dragging her to a cabin in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness and into a totally different life. No phone, no internet, and not a single word from Logan. Maddie tells herself it's okay. After all, she's the most popular girl for 20 miles in any direction. She's also the only girl for 20 miles in any direction. She has wood to cut and weapons to bedazzle. Her life is full. Until Logan shows up 6 years later, and Maddie wants to kill him. But before that can happen, an assailant appears out of nowhere, knocking Maddie down a cliff and dragging Logan to some unknown fate. Maddie knows she could turn back and get help, but the weather is turning and the terrain will only get more treacherous, the animals more deadly. Maddie still really wants to kill Logan, but she has to save them first. This book ends at 293 pages. So the next book I bought, I won't go into because I actually did a book review on it last year. It's called I Know You Remember by Jennifer Donnelly. When I read this, I gave this 5 stars. It was bloody amazing. And it was a library book at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever see it, I want to pick it up. Well, I saw it, so I picked it up. So good. 5 stars. I will link the video below so you can watch the review. So good. And the next book I picked up is a little out of character for me, but I'm trying something new. It's called The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas, also LGBTQ rep, and this is considered fantasy. The novel says, as each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the chaotic obsidian gods at bay. Sol selects 10 of the most worthy semidioses to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all the temples of Reino de Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body melted down to refuel the sunstones, protecting the world for another 10 years. Teo, a 17-year-old jade semidios and the trans son of the goddess of birds, isn't worried about the trials. At least, not for himself. His best friend, Nia, is a gold semidios and a shoe-in for the trials. And while he trusts her abilities, the odds of becoming the sacrifice is 1 in 10. But then, for the first time in over a century, the impossible happens. Sol chooses not 1, but 2 jade competitors, Teal and Zio, the 13-year-old child of the god of bad luck. Now they must compete in 5 trials against gold opponents who are more powerful and better trained. Worst of all, Teal's annoyingly handsome ex-best friend, Aurelio, is favored to win. Teal is determined to get himself and his friends through the trials unscathed, for fame, glory, and their own survival. And this one is a lot. This book is long, y'all. Oh my god, this might be the longest book on the list. This book ends at, well, let me make sure this isn't like a second book. Okay, there's first acknowledgments. Okay, this book ends at 401 pages. So far, this is the longest book out of the pile. The next book I picked up is called I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. And it says, when 16-year-old Georgia Avis discovers the dead body of 13-year-old Ashley James, she teams up with Ashley's older sister Nora to find and bring the killer to justice before he strikes again. But their investigation throws Georgia into a world of unimaginable privilege and wealth, without conscience or consequence, and as Ashley's killer closes in, Georgia will discover that when money, power, and beauty rule, it might not be a matter of who is guilty, but who is guiltiest. This is a masterfully written and unflinching account of how one young woman feels in her body as she struggles to navigate a deadly and predatory power structure while asking readers one question: if this is the way the world is, do you accept it? This book weighs in at 340 pages. The next book I want to talk about is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. The front says, how do you stop a murder after it's already happened? And this is a Reese's book club pick. I guess Reese Witherspoon. Okay, late October, after midnight, you're waiting up for your 17-year-old son. He's past curfew. As you watch from the window, he emerges, and you realize he isn't alone. He's walking toward a man, and he's armed. You can't believe it when you see him do it. Your funny, happy teenage son. He kills a stranger, right there on the street outside your house. You don't know who. You don't know why. You only know your son is now in custody, his future shattered. The night you fall asleep in despair, all is lost, until you wake, and it is yesterday. And then you wake again, and it is the day before yesterday. Every morning you wake up a day earlier, another day before the murder, with another chance to stop it. Somewhere in the past lies an answer, the trigger for this crime, and you don't have a choice but to find it. Interesting. This book is also a lot of pages. 376 pages. The next book I want to talk about is a gothic novel. It's called Tripping Arcadia by Kit Mayquest. School dropout Lena is desperate for a job, any job, to help her parents who are approaching bankruptcy after her father was injured and laid off nearly simultaneously. So when she's offered a position against all odds working for one of Boston's most elite families, as illustrious as they are secretive, Lena knows she must accept it, no matter how bizarre the interview or how vague the job description. By day, she is assistant to the family doctor and his charge Jonathan, the sickly, poetic, drunken heir to the family empire, who is as difficult as his illness is mysterious. By night, Lena discovers the more sinister side of the family as she works overtime at their lavish parties, helping to hide their self-destructive tendencies, and trying not to fall for Jonathan's alluring sister, Audrey. LGBTQ rap! But when she stumbles upon the knowledge that the family patriarch is the one responsible for the ruin of her own family, Lena vows to get revenge, a poison-filled quest that leads her further into this hedonistic world than she ever bargained for, forcing her to decide how much and whom she's willing to sacrifice for payback. This one weighs in at 351 pages. Ooh, we're almost done. 4 books left. The next book is The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mueller. And the front says, Secrets Grow in the Dark. Tucked away behind a notorious house of ill repute, there is a garden where the trees are grown from bones and nourished by the darkest of secrets. The clattering, ghastly harvest is tended to by the women who live and work at the orchard house. Charm, the madam, and her haunting, beautiful charges. Shame, justice, desire, pride, and pain. Except on Tuesdays, when the emperor alone calls at Orchard House to see his personal concubine, until the day he summons Charm instead to the palace to charge her with his dying decree. Choose which of his horrible sons will inherit the empire, by discovering which one has been responsible for his murder. If she completes his final task, she will be freed from a life of bondage and servitude. Torn between the dead emperor's will and the whispers of her own ghost, Charm must choose justice for an empire she hates, or vengeance at the cost of her own freedom. Will she save an empire, or save herself instead? The other one's 401, so this is the longest book so far. Then we went to the Friends of the Public Library, and Alex found this for me. It is a Clue novel. It is one of few. I actually remember having one as a child. I don't remember what number it was, and I don't think I actually ever read it, but I do remember the design, and I do remember owning one. So this is called Mystery at the Masked Ball. This is number 4, and it's written by A.E. Parker. And the back says, who stole Mr. Body's prize money? Was it Mrs. White in the ballroom with the knife? Was it Mr. Green in the lounge with the revolver? Was it Professor Plum in the study with the lead pipe? Mr. Body has invited his 6 best friends to be guests at his mansion for the weekend. When this weird and wacky crew get together, anything can happen. Follow along with their antics as you match up characters and crimes. Exciting, mind-bending mini mysteries to test your ability as a sleuth. This one is super short, comes in at 74 pages. And what's really cute is that it comes with pages for you to write your notes. I think that's the shortest book of the list. Next book I picked up is Close Up by Amanda Quick. She is the one that wrote Tightrope, which I loved. That's probably 2-3 years. 2-3 years now that I've read that. It says, welcome to Burning Cove, California, where 1930s Hollywood glamour conceals a ruthless killer. Vivian Brazier never thought life as an art photographer would include shooting headshots for aspiring male actors or nightly wake-up calls to snap photos of grisly crime scenes. Although she is set on making a career of transforming her photography into a new art form, she knows her current work is what's paying the bills. After shooting crime scene photos of a famous actress, the latest victim of the murderer the press has dubbed the Dagger Killer, Vivian notices eerie similarities to the crime scenes of previous Dagger Killer victims, details that only another photographer would notice, the kind of details that lead Vivian to become a target herself. Nick Sundridge has always been able to see things that others can't, forcing him to cope with disturbing dreams and visions. His talent, or as he puts it, his curse, along with his dark past, make him a recluse, but also a brilliant investigator. As the only one with the ability to help, Nick is sent to protect Vivian. Together, they discover that the Dagger Killer has ties to glitz and glamour of Hollywood royalty and high society. It is a cutthroat world of allure and deception that Vivian and Nick must traverse, all in order to uncover the killer, who will stop at nothing to add them to the gallery of victims. This book comes in at 293 pages. I am very much looking forward to this. All right, 3 left. This one is called To Tell You the Truth by Jilly McMillan. To tell you the truth, everybody lies. Lucy Harper's talent for writing best-selling novels has given her fame, fortune, and millions of fans. It's also given her Dan, her needy, jealous husband, whose own writing career has gone precisely nowhere. Now, Dan has vanished. But this isn't the first time that someone has disappeared from Lucy's life. 3 decades ago, her little brother Teddy also went missing and was never found. Lucy, the only witness, helplessly spun fantasy after fantasy about Teddy's disappearance, to the detective's fury and her parents' despair. That was the start of her ability to tell a story, a talent she has profited from greatly. But now Lucy is a grown woman who can't hide behind fiction any longer. The world is watching, and her whole life is under intense scrutiny. A life full of stories, some more believable than others. Could she have hurt Teddy? Did she kill Dan? Finally now, Lucy Harper is going to tell the truth. Cross her heart and hope to die. This book comes in at 298 pages. Ooh, we're rounding up. We're on the last 2 books. Okay. Next one is called Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. You should never trust a psychopath. But what if you had no choice? It would be easy to underestimate Chloe Sevre. She's a freshman honor student, a legging-wearing hot girl next door, who also happens to be a psychopath. She spends her time on yoga lattes, frat parties, and plotting to kill Will Bachman, a childhood friend who grievously wronged her. Chloe is one of 7 students at her DC-based college who are part of an unusual clinical study of psychopaths, students like herself who lack empathy and can't comprehend emotions like fear or guilt. The study, led by a renowned psychologist, requires them to wear smartwatches that track their moods and movements. When one of the students in the study is found murdered in the psychology building, a dangerous game of cat and mouse begins, and Chloe goes from hunter to prey. As she races to identify the killer and put her own plan for revenge into action, she'll be forced to decide if she can trust any of her fellow psychopaths. And everybody knows you should never trust a psychopath. This book ends at 389 pages. Last book, y'all. It's only been a half an hour. God. This one is A Murderous Relation by Deanna Raybourn. If that sounds familiar to you, she writes the Veronica Speedwell series and also Killers of a Certain Age, which is really popular right now. This is number 5 in the Veronica Speedwell mystery. I believe I have books 1, 2, and 3. Autumn 1888. Veronica Speedwell and her colleague Stoker are asked by Lady Wellingtonia Beauclerk, what a name, to stop a potential scandal so explosive it threatens to rock the monarchy. Prince Albert Victor is a regular visitor to the most exclusive private club in London, and the proprietress, Madame Aurore, has received an expensive gift that can be traced back to the prince. Lady Welly would like Veronica and Stoker to retrieve it from the club before scandal can break. Worse yet, London is being terrorized by what will become the most notorious and elusive serial killer in history, Jack the Ripper, and Lady Welly suspects the prince may be responsible. Veronica and Stoker reluctantly agree to go undercover at Madame Aurore's high-class brothel, where a body soon turns up. Secrets are swirling around Veronica and the royal family, and it is up to Veronica and Stoker to find the truth before it is too late for them all. What comes in at 301 pages. So within the last week, I've purchased 18 new novels. Pray for me, y'all. My wall space and my wallet are not happy with me. I'm probably going to be going on a book buying ban for December, just because I literally don't have any shelf space. There's about 5 to 6 books that are not on a shelf right now, and I don't have room for them, so I really need to stop buying books. I do actually plan on going through my book collection and doing an unhaul, because there are a lot of books that I have that I haven't read, don't think I'm going to plan on reading, that I got when I was younger, and I'm just not into that kind of thing anymore. So I might do a video about what books those are and unhauling them, either to sell if you guys are interested, or take it down to my local library. So I'm going to go crash because it's like 3 a.m. We just got back from a super late showing of Wakanda Forever. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but legit, it was amazing. And of course, I understood the assignment. I showed up in white. Everybody we went with wore white. We looked bomb. And yeah, I just had a great time. So thanks for watching. Notice I didn't say the title. I was on YouTube and they told me that I could change my handle, and I realized that Unabridged is a lot of channels on YouTube. So I've been contemplating going through a name change just for the YouTube channel, and I haven't decided on what I want that to be yet. But if you have any ideas, leave that in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Peace out.